Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and I'm back with another entry in the 100 Days of Bible Promises book by Shauna Noel. I'm on day 23, and I'm going to be playing around with this here. This is some collage paper from Tim Holtz. This is one of the new ones that they came out with this year. Basically, this is like a tissue paper that is printed. There were 3 different ones that came out this year. There's this one that's just black and white botanicals, and then there was one that had like birds and butterflies with some color, and then I think there's one with flowers that are colored. So I decided to go with this one that I could color in, and I'll show you how I do that. But to begin with, I'm going to tear this apart, and so I want to have rough edges and not cut edges. So to achieve that, I'm just taking a water brush and basically outlining the image that I want to tear out, and then that way this tissue paper tears along that wet line, and so I can get that flower out of there with torn edges, and it's much more controlled than if I just go in there dry. So I'm just going to go through and do this for each one of the little images that I want. This roll comes with I think 6 yards of this paper, so there's tons and tons and tons in there, and it's so pretty. I cannot wait to use it. And we are going to collage this into my spread this week. And you can do today. You can do the same technique in your Bible, just beware it might cover the text. So I'm going to collage this down with matte gel medium. For the coloring technique that I'm going to do, you do want to use matte gel medium and not clear gesso. And I'll explain that here in a few minutes. But I'm just taking that matte gel medium and a brush that I use only for glues and things, and I'm applying a layer of it on the page. I'm sticking down the flower and then applying a layer of matte gel medium over the top, and I'm working from the center out. That way I don't tear that tissue or crinkle it up or anything like that. It is, I would say, stronger than like tissue paper you would buy for gift packaging. I didn't have any problems with it tearing while I was doing this. And if you're familiar with the napkin technique, this is similar to the napkin technique, but this is more durable than napkins. So I love this stuff. I'm going to be using tons of it. I'm going to be buying it in all kinds of different styles. So I hope you guys aren't like hating this, because you're probably going to see it quite a bit. And you can see, since I tore those edges and this tissue paper is white, it just blends right into this page where you can't see where the tissue paper begins and the page ends. It's beautiful. I cannot wait to play with this more. So I am making sure to apply matte gel medium all over the page, even to the areas where I'm not applying the tissue paper. If I only apply it over the tissue paper, and then when that dries, my page is going to buckle and wrinkle and do weird things because the entire page wasn't covered in the matte gel medium. So you do want to make sure you put an entire top coat over the whole page. And then I can go ahead and just trim off any excess that's hanging over the edge. And then I wasn't quite sure how opaque this was going to be. It completely becomes transparent where the tissue paper is white or that kind of foggy look, but anywhere where the print is black is opaque. And so I did end up covering some of the text of this page, which doesn't bother me. I already read through it. But if you're going to be using this in your Bible, just beware that it will cover Bible text anywhere where the print is. So just heads up on that. But I did want to go ahead and pull some of these elements over to this side. And these are pretty large. I would say that fern is probably one of the smaller images that's in this roll. Everything else is pretty big, but it is a repeating pattern, but it's a big chunk of unique pattern. So there were still pieces that I did not use on this spread in the pattern. So there's plenty to play with. And I love that it has all the like text and textures and things like that in it. It's really pretty. So to color this in, I'm going to use my Faber-Castell Big Brush markers. These are an India ink that dry permanent, but because I'm working on matte gel medium, which is kind of a slick surface, I have a few seconds to smudge out the color. And so you wouldn't be able to do this with clear gesso. So this definitely works better with matte gel medium. And I'm just applying the color into the darker areas of the flower and then using my finger to push that color around. You don't have very long, you just have a few seconds to move it around, but you can see you get this really soft tinted color to this flower. So you could color this whatever you want, depending on what markers you use and how heavy-handed you are with the marker color. It just has this really pretty kind of vintage feel to it. So I'm just going around, like I said, applying that color to the dark areas and then smudging it around. I will list all the products that I used today down below, as well as the colors that I used. So you can find that down below as well as over on my blog. And I'm going to apologize. I've still got sick voice. I'm still super froggy and stuffed up. Sorry guys, but I'm at least up and around and getting some videos done for you. Now, in between colors, I am wiping my finger off on a baby wipe. It's in my lap, so you can't see it, but I am wiping it off in between colors. That way I don't contaminate colors. And I just chose some colors that kind of had a fall, vintagey feel that went with the colors that were already part of this spread. So this here, I think, is light flesh. I kind of think my light flesh color is off. It was in the discount bin at Hobby Lobby, and I just feel like it's a little peachy cream toned and not as pink. I'm not sure. I don't know. I need to get one that's not a discount one and see how the color compares. But I did want it a little bit different of a color than that really big flower on the right hand side there. And you can see it's not a super strong color. It's just a tinting effect. You can go in with multiple layers and really deepen up that color if you wanted to. But I wanted it just to look really soft and vintage. I imagine you could probably do something similar with distress inks. Just be sure or be aware that distress inks don't necessarily dry all the way on matte gel medium. It takes it a little while. So I found these better because they did dry and they're not going to move around on the matte gel medium. Now for these little berries, my finger was too big. So I have a damp paintbrush. It's not wet, it's just damp. So I stuck it in the water and then wiped off as much water as possible, and then I'm just using that to smudge out the color, and that seemed to work just fine. And so if you're not wanting to get your finger messy, you could do that for the bigger areas as well. I am working, you can see, both left and right-handed because like I said, you don't have a lot of time to move it around. So I wouldn't have time to lay down the color, lay down my marker, pick up the brush, and move it around. So you do want to work kind of quickly. So those are all colored in. Now I'm taking a texture stamp from Bo Bunny. I found mine at Tuesday Mornings, and I'm inking this up with the same green that I used for the leaves and just kind of randomly stamping this. That way it helps blend those flowers into this page, and we're kind of going for a mixed media feel and look with this spread today. And so I'm not even using a acrylic block. I'm just using my fingers and pushing it down so it gets a really imperfect impression. So I decided it's still kind of looking a little plain, so I pulled out my Kiritake Gansai Tombi watercolors, and I'm going to add some black splatters after I completely protected my tabletop because I didn't want to have to switch it out. And I'll just splatter some of that onto the background. And at this point, I am loving how it looks. I'm just obsessed. Like, I want to do this on every single page for the next, 77 days. So now I'm going to add my title. So I pulled out some alphabet stickers, and like I said in prior videos, I'm using this project to bust my stash. So I'm using up lots of alpha stickers, and you can see I'd ran out of eyes, so I am doing surgery on an H and making it into 2 eyes. And I'm just trying to use up things that are in my stash that I've been kind of avoiding using. For these, I'm using one of those brush markers to color my white stickers to match the greens that were already used. And at this point I realized I didn't have a V, so I did some surgery on a W and turned it into a V. It's not perfect, but it will work. And I didn't really let these dry, so I had to be really careful when I pulled them off the backer because they were kind of soggy. And then these are some gold thickers that I found at Hobby Lobby. I love these. I'm going to need like 50 more sheets of these. I use them all the time. And then I'm going to go in and outline my stickers just to help tie them in. Since there's so much black and darkness in this spread, I wanted to pull that in with the alphabet stickers so they look like they're a part of it and not just kind of sitting on top. And then I'm going to take some of the highlighter washi from Illustrated Faith, and I'm going to let the prayer that Shauna Noel has in this book be my prayer for the day. I didn't really leave myself a lot of room to journal, which is okay. Some days I'm doing some journaling, some days I'm not. It just kind of depends on how I feel that day. So each day is a little bit different. So I'm going to tie that in. And I should have just stopped at this point, but I felt like it still needed something else. So I went in with the same colors that I'd colored the flowers in and added some art marks. And I think this just was too much. It just made it a little bit busy. I should have just stopped while I was ahead. I don't know. I just felt like it was still kind of plain, even though it wasn't. I don't know. I'm sure you guys will say it looked fine, but with the art marks, but I don't know. I didn't love how it turned out with these, but that's okay. Sorry, I've got sick kids behind me too, trying to entertain themselves, and we're all hacking up lungs and things, so. And that is it for the spread today. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the links below for all the products that I used in the video today. Give this video a thumbs up if it was inspiring, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.